Good afternoon, everybody. The title of my speech today is Marvelous Melbourne, and I'll be telling you a bit more about Melbourne, and hopefully you'll consider visiting one day. So, before I can tell you everything, I want to let you know where it's located. So, this is a map of Australia, and Melbourne is just located down here at the southeastern tip. And in relation to where we are now, Hawaii is about 3,500 miles up this way across the Pacific Ocean. So I want to give you a brief history, a little bit of background information before I show you the fun stuff. So previous to 1835, the natives lived there, who are known as Aboriginals, and a man by the name of John Batman came along from England and purchased 250,000 acres of land. And in 1837, the new settlement was actually named Melbourne after the acting Prime Minister of Britain at the time, Lord Melbourne. And then in 1847, Melbourne was actually proclaimed a city. And following that in the 1850s, there was a huge gold rush that was in the state of Victoria. And with that, it brought in numerous amounts of both wealth and immigration. And that has led to Melbourne being the city it is today. So now I'll move on to the tourist attractions. This is the first I've picked, and it is Eureka Tower. It is the largest residential building in the Southern Hemisphere, and it stands about 1,000 feet tall. And when you go to the top, it's called the Eureka Sky Deck, and you get a beautiful view of the whole city and the bay and everything. So next I have the National Gallery of Victoria, and it was founded in 1861 and is the largest public gallery in Australia. And throughout the year it houses numerous exhibits, both national and international. And it's a beautiful place to visit. So next we have the Royal Botanical Garden, which is located right in the midst of downtown, as you can see in the background. And this is 38 hectares of landscape lands, and it contains both native and exotic vegetation from around the world, and has over 10,000 species of individual plants, flowers, and a lot of wildlife around the area. It's very beautiful. Take your family. They also have restaurants there and stuff like that. And next is Federation Square. Now, Federation Square was only built around 10 years ago. It's very modern, as you can see, very modern architecture. And it hosts a lot of events, has a lot of bars, restaurants around the area, around the surrounding area. And also, a lot of the time there's a huge screen that goes up there, for example, when Australia's playing a big game of soccer, international game, or when the rugby's on. And a lot of people congregate and watch the game and have fun with each other. It's also a big meeting spot in the city, so if you want to meet up with your friends downtown, you usually say, let's meet up at Fed Square. Next is Sovereign Hill, which relates back to the brief history. This was the place of the big gold rush in the 1850s, and today it is a huge museum, and you can actually still go there and pan for gold today, and it's a really great day out with your family. Next is the Great Ocean Road and the 12 Apostles. And as you can see, it's very beautiful. It's a stretch of road that stretches 285 kilometers, which is approximately 150 miles along the coast. And along, you get a whole bunch of beaches, beautiful surf spots as well. And these things, the 12 Apostles, which are basically limestone, just being carved away by the ocean for hundreds of millions of years. So next I'm going to move on to the food and restaurants. Melbourne has a huge food and restaurant scene. It's a lot different to the US, I'd say, because in the US you see a lot of chain restaurants that dominate, but whereas in Australia it's all small family-owned businesses. So with that, and with the large number of immigrants that Melbourne has, brings a lot of variety, diversity of food, and really good food. And on numerous occasions it's been voted as some of the best restaurants in the world by the New York Times, and also by local newspapers such as Herald Sun. And then we have the sporting life, so I'm sure a few of you are into sports, so if you were ever to visit, I'm sure you wouldn't miss some of the sporting action. So Melbourne is actually the only city in the world with just 5 international standard stadiums, 3 of which have retractable roofs. And up here on the left we have the MCG, Melbourne Cricket Ground, which is the largest stadium in Australia, and it is also where the 1956 Melbourne Olympics was hosted. There we have Etihad Stadium, which is predominantly used for Australian football, which is kind of the equivalent to your NFL. We have the Olympic Park Stadium, which is used for soccer and rugby. And down here we have Rod Laver Arena, which is home to the Australian Open Tennis, the main court, and it also hosts a lot of rock concerts, all concerts and different plays and stuff like that. And then we have Hisense Arena, which is also predominantly used for tennis, but can be used for other things like concerts. Next we have the sports events themselves. So we have the Australian Open, which is one of the 4 major Grand Slams of tennis during the year. We have the Australian Grand Prix, which is held in Melbourne. We have the MotoGP, the Australian Football Grand Final, and the Melbourne Cup, which is the most famous horse race in Australia. It normally brings in about 300,000 on the scene and a lot of tourists, and the winner gets a few $1 million. So now moving on to my final point, some interesting facts about Melbourne. According to the Economist Intelligence Unit, it was ranked the world's most livable city for the last 3 years in a row. And although the state of Victoria only takes up 3% of Australia's landmass, it makes up 25% of its economy, which is larger than the economies of Singapore and the Philippines combined and New Zealand. And although I've shown you all these great reasons to visit, it's important to remember that Melbourne is ranked the 4th most expensive city in the world, so make sure you bring some extra cash if you're intending to visit. And so I've shown you some tourist attractions that I think are great, although there are many more. I've shown you that Melbourne has some nice restaurants, and if you're into sports, it's definitely a great place to visit, so hopefully maybe you'll consider visiting one day now. Thank you.